was 11 years old, and the only thing I knew about Grand Theft Auto was that I wasn't allowed it. And I knew that there were games out there that I wasn't supposed to have, and somehow one of them slipped through. And if you know what I'm talking about, then this song is probably taking you right back.
I need a gangster bitch. A gangster bitch. I want a gangster bitch, yo. A gangster bitch. I want a gangster boogie with my. I want a gangster bitch. I need a gangster bitch. A gangster bitch. I want a gangster bitch, yo. A gangster bitch. I want a gangster boogie with my. I need a gangster bitch. She don't sleep.
I'm speaking, of course, about Grand Theft Auto's distant cousin, Saints Row, specifically Saints Row 2. Now, if you haven't watched my last video, which I really recommend you go check out, I did get addicted to Grand Theft Auto 4, don't get me wrong. But before I was allowed to get my hands on that game, I had to settle for Saints Row 2. And settle I did not, because Saints Row 2 was an absolutely fantastic game. Being able to create your own character from the off was enough to make it feel different to Grand Theft Auto 4. Instead of playing as Nico and experiencing that story kind of move past you, at least I, as a kid, felt a bit more attached to the story of Saints Row 2, especially since you could choose a British voice actor for the guy.
Fuck off.
And I loved kind of imagining myself running Stillwater.
Fuck off.
As vain as that does sound. So I was really in that world in a way that I hadn't really been with a game before. So whatever my guy was going through, my gang leader, I was right there going through it too. And his crew was my crew, and I loved that. Now, one thing that does get attached to the Saints Row franchise, which I actually don't think Saints Row 2 is as guilty of as some of the subsequent editions, is that it has quite a comical element to it. And while Saints Row 2 definitely did have that crude humor, which I loved.
Hey, you want to ride our big Willie? We'll be right there.
Those goofy explosions. I think there was even a zombie mode at some point. But underneath all of that, there was an actual proper story. There was gang warfare with actual stakes and loads of different factions, characters that you actually got attached to. And it was a bit of a curveball because I think I just thought I was going into the city to kind of blow stuff up and, do GTA things, right? There's this one mission that I still think about, man. I can't remember his name. I think it might be Carlos, actually. He's one of the younger, more innocent members of the Saints, which is the gang that your guy is a leader of. And he was someone that I think had been with you from early on in the game. And there's a gnarly mission where he gets dragged behind this van by one of the factions that you're warring against. And by the time you stop the van, there's nothing you can do, and your character has to put him out of his misery. Man, I was 11 years old sitting in front of the PS3 watching this. I had no phone that I was checking constantly or no adult responsibilities sitting in the back of my mind. I was just completely engrossed in this story. And that scene, him holding his hand and that decision that my character had to make, my sweet British gang leader guy, I think I went on a bit of an 11-year-old warpath after that mission, man. I think I was like, right, I'm getting my vengeance here. And I went across Stillwater and I hunted these gang members down. And that actually leads me nicely into what I want to talk about next, which is the tragedy of where Saints Row went after Saints Row 2. I remember when the Saints Row 3 trailer dropped, I lost my mind, man. That Kanye power track over that trailer was so cool, man. And I think the internet was just as hyped, and the trailer was cinematic and stylish, and it really did feel like a proper evolution of Saints Row 2. And I was so hyped, and then I played it, and I just immediately did not gel with that game. When I was younger, I was so caught up in my own hype that sometimes I would kind of force myself to enjoy a game because I didn't really want to admit that it was a flop or if it had missed the mark, But with Saints Row 3, that was probably the first time that I went in and I was like, oh, nope, this ain't right. The graphics felt a little bit too clean and a little bit too pristine. And the physics felt a little bit less weighty and a little bit more kind of cartoonish. And when Shaundy appeared, I remember that was the first real alarm bell going off because Shaundy in Saints Row 2 was this kind of like hippie grunge girl, and she had this kind of damaged personality. You knew why she had fallen in with maybe a gang that wasn't as well-to-do. In Saints Row 3, she was this pristine kind of like made-up porn star looking woman, and I understand maybe they tried to say, right, okay, now the Saints are big and famous and rich, she had this makeover, but man, it was too much, and it just felt like they kind of sanitized her and sanded her down, and I was just not happy about it. And then as the game went on, it just further confirmed what my first instincts were. You know, the story was forgettable. I can't really remember anything apart from that big Russian guy who knew Latin. The humor just didn't land. I think it went from being quite crude and funny to like millennial writing. The characters were way too over the top, and there was no real grounded stuff to kind of balance it out. Saints Row 2 had the chaos and the slapstick humor and the kind of crude elements to it that was, you know, genuinely funny, but it also had that weight and grittiness in the story to kind of balance it out. Saints Row 3, it just felt like you were mowing down waves of faceless mercenaries over and over again, and that intimate, grimy gang war that made Saints Row 2 so special was just completely gone. And I didn't end up playing any of the other ones. I saw the writing on the wall. All of the trailers for the subsequent releases just were not for me. And then there was that 22 reboot, which I'm not even going to go into detail over, but I will say it definitely deserved what it got. There was a massive portion of the fan base that thought that this reboot was going to be a step back to the roots of Saints Row 1 and 2. And I've never actually played Saints Row 1, but if it's anything like Saints Row 2, I think that's kind of the direction they were going for. And then what they actually came out with, chasing that mythical audience. Listen, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a small, very petty part of me that was actually pretty satisfied and smug over the fact that they actually had to close over what they did, because they just went the completely wrong direction with that game, and they kind of got what they deserved. Now, I have tried going back to the Saints, going back to Stillwater in recent years, but the Steam port just isn't very good. Apparently, it is more playable now because there's a few mods out there that kind of fix it. And maybe I will give it another go, because I genuinely believe it is one of the better open world games of that era. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. I know there's a lot of people that are very fond of it, but I always think there could be more. Not many of those guys who have the GTA 4 stories have got Saints Row 2 stories as well. This was mine, and if you've got one, I would love to hear it.